gotta be ready. We launch immediately nowadays. There's no holding back.
All right, let's do this.
Well, I want to open up.
I got
I
opening in
want to
mind.
open up.
Oh,
I gotta. I want to go ahead and address the dog that's not in the room. Um, we've all talked off the podcast, but I wanted to bring it on the podcast because it's kind of relevant with the album that we're going to be talking about. Um, I had to put Molly down. It's probably been like week and a half, I guess. Now she had cancer, and it was heavy, but honestly, it was really beautiful because of all the things that kind of fell into place. And I want to walk you through the day because there's some really crazy shit that happened on the day of her passing that I want to bring to y'all's attention and also document it too. So Christian got to come see her, which was really special for me. Trey got to come see her as well. And on the morning of, so we she stayed in the living room. I go up, take a shower. I come back downstairs, and on the TV, because my TVs are constantly running for my dogs. All Dogs Go to Heaven is playing on the TV. So like that's the first thing. Okay,
That's
that's the first thing,
crazy.
right? So when Trey comes over, Trey, what was on my TV when you when we came
where
over?
the red fern grows was playing when I got there.
So so I had
Jesus.
decided, and also I hadn't seen that movie in like 20 years. So it's not as bad as you think. I think it builds over time if you don't watch it, but if you watch it,
Yeah.
it's special. But anyway, that was going to be our last movie together, Where the Red Fern Grows. So we got to watch that. We head over to the vet later on, and the spot where we were gonna do the procedure, we do it outside. My vet and I are really close, and he gives us that opportunity, and I'm so thankful for that because when I pull up, I look into the field, and in this exact same spot, I have put down two other dogs. One I had to put down in November. He had spinal cancer, and one a couple years back, same location. So when I get to the spot, I'm looking over and there's three mushrooms that are growing in the field that are completely isolated. And I'll have to send you guys a picture after the fact, but there's one mushroom and then there's two facing it. So it was so symbolic for me at that location to see that because I mean, in my mind, it's her soul joining the other two, Crush and Jada. So
Yeah.
super, super powerful. And of course, I go back the next day and the mushrooms are bloomed. And again, it was just magic. I talked to some folks, some mycologists, to identify the mushrooms too, and they were Amanita caesarea. He called them Caesars. They're edible, and he when I showed him the picture of them, they hadn't bloomed yet. And he said, "You know how rare it is to see mushrooms in that those mushrooms specifically in that state before they bloom because they're so ephemeral." Um, Again, just the magic was happening, and it was really special. It was really beautiful, and yeah. So in other words, it's where the red mushroom grows, for me, and those mushrooms will always be something special. So it was cool, and Molly was an amazing dog. I don't know if Blake, did you ever get to meet her?
Yeah, I met
Okay.
Molly. I mean, it was I know that because remember
Oh,
I
you came over to
came
the
over
house, yeah.
to house a few times. But yeah, like I told Amanda that you were going through it, and like we were both just like so emotional thinking about it, and like had to hug Riley and Ruby
Yeah.
extra tight and spend some time with them, and I think those moments you gotta experience in your own way, and it's hard to formulate words to. I'm getting like emotional thinking about it because I don't want to I don't want to lose Riley and Ruby and Kittis, who's on my fucking desk right now, who's making an entrance.
Yeah, man.
She's 15, so she doesn't have much longer either, and I think about it a lot. But I'm glad that you had that special moment and obviously made an impact on your life, and obviously the fact that Trey got to come see her and come see you and Christian and people that are close to you, like that's really special. And Amanda and I were thinking about you a lot, and I'm glad you had a
Yeah.
good moment with it.
I appreciate it, man. And it's one of those things you can it's important to address emotions, I mean, again, the album that we're going to talk about hits that right on the head, and it's one of those things where you're never going through it alone, even if you're by yourself, because there's people thinking about you in other places, and again, you can hark back on the experiences that you shared together. So it's something that we sign up for, with getting dogs. They're not with us our whole lives, but again, it's just a fact of life. But you celebrate the good time, and you're with them till the very end, and that's just incredibly special.
100%. Well, I have, before Trey says something, because I know I'm sure he wants to say something. I did pick, depending on where the Wheel of Fate and Time lands, I picked an album that you are absolutely going to love if it lands on it. So, and I was thinking of you when I picked it. So hopefully we'll see what happens. Right. But Trey, what you got? You got something to say?
No, I didn't have anything to say. Yeah, getting to come see Molly was really special, and like just to talk about Molly as a dog for a second, like her ripple effect on you and therefore like into other people's lives and like how we interact with our dogs and our animals and like appreciating that is super special. And like I don't know if there's been another dog obviously in my life that maybe I didn't own or anything like that, but has had such a compounding effect. You know, like she's a huge reason that I got Wafer. Like she's a huge reason and a huge development in how I interact with Wafer because you know, trained him and trained me. And I'm one of hundreds of people that's happened to. So, you know, rest in peace, Molly. Yeah. That's sick about the mushrooms. I'm glad that you saved that to tell on the pod.
Yeah.
And you know, now you'll have a nice little remembrance. I'm sure you'll see him bloom again somewhere, which would be really, really dope. So
I'll give you one more story, and then we'll get out of this this realm of speech. But I want to tell you a story about her. She saved my life before she turned 1 year old. So in Tuscaloosa, I went to college at Alabama. We got her in our fall semester, and the oncoming spring break in Tuscaloosa, everyone pretty much leaves the city. And I was like, fuck it. This is what I want, a staycation with the dog and no one else at the house. It's like magic because it never happens, right? So she and I are sitting out on the front porch at like 2 a.m, right? And we were not expecting company at that time. And a car pulls up on the corner. Our house was right on a corner in a cul-de-sac, and a car pulls up right onto the curb. And these 4 guys start to get out of the car. And Molly started going ape shit, just like reacting like crazy at them. And they couldn't see her, but her bark is loud. And they all got back in the car quick and sped off. And I was like, what the fuck just happened, you know? And I go to where we had a security guard at the entrance of our cul-de-sac, and he was passed out in his car. So I'm like laying into this guy. I'm just so frustrated because my adrenaline's going. And I get back to the house, and I told Molly, I said, you got a lifetime pass from me. You know, I mean, you can do no wrong from here on out. Like
Molly took a shot.
Yeah, and she has.
Yeah. Molly took a shot.
Yeah, so the day I got arrested too in Tuscaloosa, this was before that. I don't know, around the same time. She's a fucking gangster. But when I came back from jail, and Christian and Justin, our roommates, they were like, yo, we think Molly got shot. They're like, she got out of the house and we think she got shot, but we don't know what to do. So we're just with her, and never noticed any symptoms or anything until February of 2025. I got her x-rayed for her cancer, and there's a little metal pellet that was in her body. And it had been there for her entire life. Again, never showing any symptoms. You know? So like, shout out to the gangster.
What a fucking gangster, actually. Yeah. You know that she, every time she heard Many Men by 50 Cent, she was like, that's me.
Mm-hmm.
That's absolutely me. Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Oh, man. Well, yeah, it's, you know, I'm glad you had those moments. And like Trey said, man, like, you know, with somebody asked me about the puppies the other day, and I was just saying, like, what a help you were in that whole process. And obviously I've talked to people who've also talked to you in Birmingham about their dogs, and I've given them advice based on what you have told me and what you've taught me in the past. And, you know, your care for animals and your ambition for them, obviously, like Molly was a huge stepping point in that. And we all appreciate it, right? Like Trey said, like I don't think we would have been able to go through the puppy thing without you. And I've called you multiple times about Riley and Ruby and how they act like fucking shitheads sometimes, and you tell me like it's not their fault, it's your fault, and it's so accurate too. And but yeah, it was great. So happy memories from here until forever for sure.
Shout out all the dogs in our life too, and those to come.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, and if you have a dog, please, dog or cat, go hug them, give them some attention today once you hear this. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Totally Biased Music, Blake, Trey, and Anthony. I have a new camera, so if you're wondering why I look so glamorous, it's because I have a new camera. This is 4K shit right here, people. We're taking it to the next level, so if we don't blow up this year, then I
We'll
don't
blow up
know what
next
else to
year.
do.
We'll blow up next
Yeah,
year.
maybe 2026 is the year. I don't know. I think 4K cameras is really what's going to take us to the next level. But today we are reviewing Age of the Fifth Sun by God is an Astronaut, which is an Anthony pick. And then we are doing a combo of The Empire Strikes Back, Star Wars movie, and Family Guy's something dark side, which I am very excited to talk about. But Anthony, you picked Age of the Fifth Sun, so tell us a little bit about it. Where'd you come from with this pick?
So
What did you land on last week?
2010s rock, and so 2010 I had just graduated high school and really was not listening to a lot of instrumental music, music with instruments in a sense. I was listening to a lot of electronic music and really diving into that world. So when the wheel landed on that was the one topic or the one category that I was like, fuck, I don't know I have no idea what I'm going to pick for this. So what I did, ran downstairs, looked at the iTunes library and just started digging and came across, I went into post rock because I'm like, okay, I would like to do rock, and realistically wasn't choosing a specific genre, but landed on post rock. And then I started going through the artists that I listened to, and God is an Astronaut is a band that I wanted to bring to the podcast. I was like, okay, please have an album in this range, and they did, because I had not listened to God is an Astronaut until probably 2 years ago. 2 or 3 years ago, I really started diving into post rock and other progressive rock bands that I had never heard before, and was just getting sucked into the magic of this music, because it is so emotional. It's so voyeuristic, like in other words, like it's like you're on a journey listening to this album. Every album is an experience, and every track itself is also an experience. So I was like, okay, God is an Astronaut. Age of the Fifth Sun was in 2010. Damn, I should know this.
2010.
2010. And I was like, all right, let's go with it, because honestly, I know a couple of their albums. Like, I know that I could go to them at any time, but this is one I hadn't really given this type of attention to. So was really stoked to kind of dive in, and I texted you guys. I was like, this can be pretty overwhelming music in a sense. So like, take your time if you want, listen back if you can, because it is something that I think is just, it's a vibe that you can always go into the album itself.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Trey, what were your initial thoughts?
So I think this is my favorite thing that I'd never heard before that you've brought to the podcast, trying to think through different stuff. Like, usually there's been like, you bring something that maybe I hadn't heard, like that specific song before on a Rides or Dies or whatever, like hadn't heard that album, but I didn't know anything about this band. And the first time that I listened to this album was when we got off the air. That sounds pretty
right,
cool, bro.
We're pros.
Also, we got off the air and I hopped in the car and I drove back to the lake. It's about a 45-minute to an hour-long drive
at night.
And it was at night. It was like a little thundery, but like not raining. And I was like, this is sick. There's some things that I'm like, this sounds like Linkin Park without vocals. But
I thought that too. That's crazy.
The first, and I'll get in that in my like bottoms. I'm doing air quotes if you can't see, but the first song, I'm just like waiting for, what's that guy's name, Chester Bennington.
Oh yeah.
To come over and be like, I'm bleeding out,
Yeah.
But some other stuff is like very post rock, very progressive, very like light and airy, and almost like glitchy at certain points, which I like a lot, and I'll get into that. But I really, really enjoyed this. I enjoyed it so much I listened to a couple of their albums by them. I sent y'all that live album on Spotify, which Blake, I feel like you would probably like a little bit more because it's a lot heavier. But yeah, before I give up my opening thoughts, did y'all notice anything new about me?
Did you get a haircut?
I cut my hair. I got a haircut.
I thought so. Yeah.
I knew it was down, so I thought that like there's something going on there.
Bro, I cut off like 8 inches off this thing. Come on, I'm like a woman now.
Really?
Like,
they're fresh.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was
very
down to like
nice.
her. Yeah. Anyway. Anthony's whole opening monologue kind of threw off my haircut thing. But I feel like it was
Yeah.
more
Blame
important.
Molly. Blame Molly.
It's okay. I'll forgive you. But yeah, I really enjoy this band. I enjoy this album a lot, and I'm excited to kind of talk more about it. I will say, with instrumentals like this, it can make for a difficult discussion. I feel like just because there's not as much like to hinge on, and some of these songs definitely run together in my mind, so it's hard to like pick out like favorites
Right.
and least favorites. But it's a great pick.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'll say like I that's so funny that you brought up the Linkin Park thing because I also got Linkin Park vibes when I was listening to the first song. Like I was like, this could be like the ending of a Transformers movie, 100%.
It really could be.
But they're like as a whole, I'll just be completely honest and lay it out. Like I didn't love the album. I didn't hate it. I thought that I don't know. There's the it a lot of it, like Trey said, starts to blend together, right? And with it's not like it's a super long album, right? It's only 9 tracks, but there are times where like even if you go Worlds and Collision to In the Distance Feeling to Lost Kingdom, they all just like they sound really similar to me. And there are moments where going back the second listen, I was kind of like trying to reassess, what do I like, what do I not like, right? And I would play a track and I would get halfway through and then I would go to the next track. And then I would think like, am I listening to the same fucking track right now? Like there was just I don't know, something and I think what it is not having lyrics like as a part of it, but a lot of the music is just very similar until you get to a track like Golden Sky, right? Which is, I think, kind of just because of the beginning of it is a little bit of a separator. But I don't know. I think my biggest issue was a lot of it kind of ran together. And I still, I like what it's going for. And first off, God is an Astronaut, phenomenal band name.
Great
Also,
band name.
Yes.
such a
Amazing
great
band name.
band name. But yeah, like it's not anything that really stuck out to me. But now that like so you sent Anthony instrumental for next week's picks, right? And so I was trying to find instrumental non-electronic. And I realized how
Which is a
like
difficult,
honestly limited
difficult
that
area.
field is. Yes,
Is it really,
it's
though?
so it's
Yes.
to me it was very
get it.
difficult. And
I
so
get it.
then I was like, okay, like now your pickings are slim, right? And you walk through your process of how you picked it. So there's some positive things to take away. Not a massive fan, just as a spoiler alert going into it, but it was worth listening to for sure. And I think like I don't know, trying to listen to it all in one sitting, like I had to break it up because when I got to track 6, I was like, all right, I gotta like listen to something with just a different vibe, lyrics, different anything. Like I gotta break this up. So but yeah, it was interesting for sure.
Well,
so it'll be interesting to see what you guys think of
on
it.
the idea, on the like the point of it sounding similar, all of that to me is intentional in a sense. Like this album is really meant to be taken in either in full or stopping after Golden Sky, and then taken in the second half of the album. But it's the album itself, like when I like listen to a post rock album, I have nothing in my hands, nothing in front of me. I'm either painting or doing something, but my brain is checking out, and that to me is how this music can really just deliver an experience to you. Is you just get so sucked in and lost to it. If you over analyze it, you're going to have all these similarities within it. But if I do take notes listening to a post rock album, the way I do it is I use arrows. So I'll have like a climactic track or a journey track that kind of squiggles, or a middle of the road track, or a down kind of, how do I say, it's like a desolate kind of track, because it really does pull out. You mentioned the end of Transformers, the end of any movie, or the beginning of every movie. There are like movements within this album where if this was one 45-minute long track, that would be potentially intimidating for a lot of people, but you would get this entire experience without, trying to break it down. But by breaking it down, I think it gives it some sort of direction or some sort of clarity because they get to name these track titles. But like when it comes to this type of music, I mean, the titles are just irrelevant. It's all in the sounds. It's all in the
Right.
feelings that you get. But it is worth mentioning they're an Irish band, if that makes any difference. But it's
Interesting.
only potentially it's only a 3-piece band, but on this album specifically, they had a lot of like the drummers, family members participated, adding extra guitars and adding extra layers to it. But yeah, I'm glad you got to listen to it because I figured neither one of y'all had heard this band before. Um, but in the same vein of Explosions in the Sky, there is a time and place for this, and one day I think it'll strike you, or I hope that it does.
Right. And that's kind of what I thought, like listening to it, like it popped in my head that it was like, there's a time and a place for this. And like sitting in my living room listening to it on the Sonos is not
There
the
you go.
time and the
That's
place
okay.
for this.
That's
Like,
part of the
had
learning
I
experience.
right,
Mhm.
had I been driving, like maybe if I could picture like taking the bike up to like Breckenridge, right, riding in the mountains, and
Fuck
just
yeah.
me and I have a headset in my helmet, right, so listening to it in that sort of environment would probably be great. But when I was sitting at home, I was like, I don't know, man, this is not the right spot to consume this
That's
media.
okay, but you felt
Wait,
that, you know.
do you listen to music while you ride your bike?
Yeah, 100% every ride.
That
I
feels
got a
dangerous. Don't worry about
I
you.
got a headset built in and a
I
mic
know
too.
that
So
scares me.
when Amanda and I ride, we can talk to each other via like an intercom system. Actually, it's really cool. But yeah, music all the time. It's no different than listening to it in your car.
It's
I
a
wish
lot different. You're on a
Bose
motorcycle.
actually. Bose, now that Bose, since you're
Yeah,
listening,
right.
Bose, you need to make a helmet speaker system because mine is good, but Bose
Better.
would be
There you
better.
go.
I'll tell you that much. Let's get into top tracks. Trey, what do you got?
Yeah, sure. All right. So I can do two things here. I could do 2 and 2, or I can do 3 and 2. If y'all want to do that, but do we
I
want to
only
do
have
three?
two
I'll do
bottom
three.
tracks
Never
as
mind.
well.
Okay, cool. I only have two bottom
So,
tracks. Just so three
all
tops.
right, yeah,
Blake will
One,
fill
that's
in the gaps
um,
with
yeah.
that.
you actually already said. You already mentioned my third favorite track is the track "Golden Sky." It's a super slow builder. It has this really pretty piano that is very like, it's very prog or not prog. It's very like post rocky. It doesn't really sound like Linkin Park, which I like a lot. But also, there's this book that my favorite book in this book series I've been obsessed with since the beginning of the year. The book series is called Red Rising. And my favorite book in the series is called Golden Sun. And I listened to this album while I've been like reading, which is really,
Yeah,
I like to like
yeah.
listen to instrumental music
Interesting.
and
That's a
read.
good
Hmm.
idea, actually.
It's great for reading. It's like very like mellow, and there's like kind of points to pay attention to and points to like just like let it play in the background. So yeah, so Golden Sky kind of, and as you said, it kind of ushers in like a second half of the album, so to speak. So that's number three. Number two for me is Age of the Fifth Sun. I don't know if it's just because it's the title track that it grabbed my attention. But the guitar lick is just, it's like heavy rock. I mean, it's almost metal.
Yeah.
That guitar lick and like the tone on it, the dun-na-na, dun-na-na, dun-na, it's like breakbeaty kind of. That track's great. And then my number one favorite song is Shining Through.
Fuck yeah.
Shining Through for me almost sounds like at points, it sounds like a glitch hop song. It's like you're almost waiting on like a record scratch to come in. Like it's like this little like breath type of sound for I imagine it's keys or a synth. I don't think it's a guitar, but it's about halfway through. And just as far as like instrumental rock music goes, it's something that I don't really think I've like heard. Like it doesn't sound like anything that I can like that immediately like reminds me of anything else, which is always like a cool feeling when you listen to as much music as the three of us do. So
Yep.
yeah, those are those are my top three.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah.
Anthony, what do you
All
got?
right, so number three, I have the opening track, Worlds in Collision. To me, that is like the album in a condensed in a song form. You know, I mean, it does everything. It starts off really dark, really haunting, and then it slowly builds, and then as it builds, it climaxes, and the way it closes is so serene. I mean, the amount of places that you go within these songs is, for me, that's what music, that's what makes music so special, is that it can teleport you to a whole nother world just by sound alone. Um, Never seen these guys live, and they, I don't know if they're coming to the US anytime soon, and I really don't think they are. But Worlds in Collision is a powerful track and great way to start the album too. Number 2, I have Lost Kingdom. Lost Kingdom is this very psychedelic, like groove like track, and to me it does give me Pink Floyd vibes as far as just that rhythm that's going to kind of go in the background throughout while these synths are kind of building. But I just wrote Killer Groove on that track. Number 1 for me, it's a 2-track combination, and it's because they're in sequence. It's Parallel Highway into Shining Through. I mean, Parallel Highway to me is like the rebuilding of the second half of this album. And it gives me Tycho vibes. Like, it gives me very much, like, the way the guitar sounds in that song is very like cruise. Like, I want to be moving when I hear that song. So Parallel Highway is a great track. And then Trey said pretty much everything about Shining Through. You know, the textures and the layers of sounds that they're able to create is just, again, it's so moving. So that track alone, like that's a standalone track that I think you could send to somebody and be like, what do you think about this? And they're like, wow, who is this? And then you send them the album and you realize this thing is like baked into the back half of this album. It's like you have to get there, right? But when you do, I think it just is exactly what you want. That to me is the climax of this album.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So for me, I had my third track, so In the Distance Fading, not in the distant fading, In the Distance. And let me tell you why. Partially because I started with Worlds in Collision, which, spoiler alert, I hated. And it was also 7.5 minutes. So I was like, this is going to be rough, man. This is going to be a long album of Transformers closing credit scenes music. And then I got to In the Distance Feeling, and I was like, you know what? Not so much. There's a much better track hiding behind this intro track, and the tempo picks up a little bit. But I really enjoyed that song. And then Parallel Highway. I really liked Parallel Highway because it felt I don't know how to describe it. I really don't know how to describe the vibe of this album. It felt more organic. Is that like a pretentious thing to say? Like, it felt like
like it's like real instruments more so, like,
right. Yeah. It felt like a more organic song, and like it kind of eased into when it picked up tempo and pace. And I don't know. I just really enjoyed that album, and it's placed, I think, at the perfect point. Track 6, which I really loved. And then my top track, honestly, and I didn't like this in the other points in the album, but Paradise Remains, I think, is the perfect closing track for an album like this, right? Like it's very, I don't know, it's just such a great closing song in the sense that it's like slow, it's weird, it's sound, but it's not noise. Does that make sense? That's a weird thing to say, but like there's a construction to it that works with how it ends the album. And you know, I listen to a shit ton of music when I play video games. Like, that's a huge portion of how I listen to music. And listening to a song like Paradise Remains, when I told Trey that I've been playing, there's a single player Star Wars game that came out years ago that I'm just now playing. But I listened to the album the first time when I was...
Jedi Order?
No, the it's called the Fallen Order, I think, or the Forgotten Order or something.
Fallen Order.
And like the ambiance of the moment where I heard Paradise Remains and the level I was playing in that game coincides so perfectly. Yeah, it was just so funny to me. But that's how like I consume a lot of my music, right? I'm always doing something else. And like Trey said, like when I read, I listen to lo-fi hip hop beats to study / relax to. But this would be a very good album to listen to. But I think Paradise Remains is just, there's like an ambiance to it, right? There's a feeling to it that I really enjoyed. So that's my top track for sure. And I think it's just like, in terms of, we talk a lot about intro tracks on this podcast, but I think as a closing track, this is what you want as a closing track, you know?
And as you, if you decide to listen to other post-rock albums, you're going to get a lot of similar, like you're going to start to see structure within these albums, you know, and the purpose of some of these tracks and where they're at. And you're right on. I mean, it's an afterglow. You know, it's like this thing had just happened. You just listened to this album, and now we're gonna land, you know, this ship. You know, because God is driving. I mean, he's literally an astronaut, right? So, I mean, we got to get to this point of just closure, and a beautiful, beautiful way to do that. So, I'm glad you see it. You're getting there. You're getting there.
Yeah, 100%. All right, bottom tracks, Trey.
All right, I'll hop on it. I got my two. One is Dark Rift. And the reason this is a bottom track is it's just kind of there. It's just kind of boring. It's like an ambient. Honestly, you know what it reminded me of, and this is a positive thing for a bottom track, is when Fish played the Sphere. Trey Anastasio created an entire ambient album just to play in the hallways of the Sphere.
Hell
As
yeah.
you walk, you know, those like really dark hallways, Blake. That
That's
you walk
fucking
into
crazy.
the Sphere.
Yeah,
He'd made the album a long time ago, and he like didn't know what to do with it. And then he was like the first time they toured Sphere, he was like,
he's like, let me use it for vibe music.
Perfect.
Hell yeah.
So like that's what this song reminds me of, kind of.
100%. Yeah.
Sound negative now that I talk it out, but in the context of
or like when you go to the McWayne Center, like
which we did.
we play this at the McWayne Center.
Me and Anthony just went to the McWayne Center.
Yeah, we saw live in
Nice.
Yeah, it was awesome. But yeah, it just like in the context of the rest of the album, it just doesn't really fit that well. It's very much like an interlude. And so, you know, I'll put an interlude on the bottom tracks. And then the one song that I legitimately do not care for is Worlds in Collision.
Interesting.
It just sounds like Linkin Park without vocals. And like that's not a compliment because I'm not a big Linkin Park guy. So I will say when I listened to it, I had a similar reaction as you, Blake, where I was like, oh no, this is gonna be not enjoyable. And then honestly, it kind of set the rest of the album up to like vastly exceed expectations. And I loved it, but that first song for me doesn't.
We don't talk enough about how a bad intro track sets you up to enjoy the rest of the album.
Yeah.
Because you go into it and you're like, this isn't going to be good. And then it is good. And you're like, okay, fair.
Yeah, but I mean, in reality, neither one of y'all knew what you were going to be listening to, you know? But like the Linkin Park analogy is something that I just can't get fully behind at all. You know?
You don't hear that at all?
Well,
oh my God, it's straight Linkin Park vibes.
Yeah. I mean, Linkin Park does have, you know, scratching and a lot of more synths and a lot of more just electronic elements to it. But like, that's not the first thing I think of. But in reality, I mean, that's just not how I see Linkin Park. But I mean, I respect it, but I just do not agree with it at all and wanted to make it known. What else?
Biased.
Just those two?
Those are my two.
No, he only had two.
Okay.
He only had
yeah,
two.
I just have the two.
My two bottom tracks, I have In the Distance Fading, really because of I know why it's there and I know why it's up tempo. It's just not my favorite part of this journey. It's necessary to get to where you were going into Lost Kingdom, but for me it's just not one of my favorite ones. So In the Distance Fading, and then my other bottom track is Age of the Fifth Sun, specifically because it is the title track. And for me, I want the title, like if there is going to be a title track, I want it to be like everything this album stands for or just means to me. And like I said, for me, it's the track beforehand, but I don't dislike it. And I do like the rock elements to it, but just not my favorite part.
That's fair. I think for me, I had Worlds in Collision, and Trey kind of nailed that already, and so did I earlier. Just not my vibe. Also, 7 minutes and 30 seconds for a track like this, like wrap that shit up, man. Like I got ADHD, I'm a millennial, I'm on Vyvanse. Like, come on, I got other shit to do. And then Dark Rift too, like, and this is what I was talking about with Paradise Remains. So Paradise Remains is. It's like a better version of Dark Rift for me because of its placement and because of the song itself, right? So Dark Rift, I guess if you look at it, is this a song you're saying was an interlude, Trey?
Well,
yes.
But it does, in reality, because I was going to mention it in a second, Dark Rift starts off side B. So Dark Rift and then Paradise Remains.
So it's almost like, so it's almost like an interlude. But I just didn't like its placement of the album. And then, like, look, if I'm going to be completely honest with you guys, like, 6 through 8, like, because at this point in the album, like, I just got tired of it, you know? And that's what sucks is, like, I just don't, My dogs are freaking out. I apologize. You can hear them, but it's just the like 9 tracks, which doesn't seem long, but I think it's 52 minutes or something like that. I don't have the actual numbers here, but like once you start getting into like the first 5 tracks, they all like they're individual enough that you can appreciate them, but then as it continues to wane on, you're like, man, this is really starting to blend together, brother. And like for me, it was just really starting to blend together. And I was like, have I heard this song before? Did this fucking album restart and I didn't know it? Like it was too much for me, man. And like and that's what sucks is, and when I was looking, like I was scouring trying to find, instrumental albums for next week, right? And a lot of instrumental albums, because I was going through in my off time and listening to like different albums, different artists, different eras, shit like that. And a lot of them are 5 tracks, 4 tracks, 6 tracks, whatever. Like they're so short, and a 9-track album, just as it goes on, it's like, all right, man, like I've heard enough of it. And so like I'm not putting 6 through 8 on my bottom tracks. I'm just saying as it goes on, I get less and less interested. And that may be like, maybe I'm just too ADHD for music like this, I don't know.
I might agree with that a little bit, but you're almost there. I mean, just like the idea of everything starting to sound the same tells me there's some, like, it's happening, right? In a sense, like, just I would love if I do this again, bring another post rock album or something, like just for the first listen, do the thing that you feel makes most sense, right? But like no time watching, no track titles, just get lost in it first and then go back and figure out what songs were where, because that to me, like I said, I had never listened to like any of these songs individually, only as a whole. And that to me like sets the experience up to then be able to start to dissect it and know what you've already felt, and then realize, okay, it was this track or I don't like that part, But again, we did it.
Well, what's interesting is like, and I can bring this up because it's not on my album picks, and you wouldn't like it, Anthony, but Trey listened to the most recent Skrillex album, which is essentially a live set of throwaways. Yeah. It's like an hour long. It's essentially tracks, a set. Right? Yeah, because it's just a set of throwaways, basically. But what I like, and look, hate to bring it up, sorry, gotta do it. Into the Sun was supposed to be a mixtape, and it turned into an album. And the thing about Into the Sun, when you listen to mixtape 13, it blends together in the sense that it's all one cohesive piece, but the transitions are nice, like going from track to track, but the individual tracks are so different that it doesn't ever really feel like you don't get tired of it, in the sense that your ears are constantly listening for something different, right? And granted, those are electronic artists, right? So it's easier, and I understand that. But for this, it's like that's kind of what it felt like. It was like you could listen to it as one cohesive piece, but after a while, to me, it all became one thing. And maybe you're right, but maybe time passes, I listen to it in a different environment, whatever it is, and it changes. But that was kind of the thought I had. I was like, I just wanted a little bit more variance in it, and I didn't get it. But such is life. It was still parts of it that I really did enjoy. And like I said, ending track. Beautiful ending track. Perfect ending track. For real.
Taking us up.
Yes, I go ahead and turn that off. But good for sure. All right. So what do we got for ratings? Trey, you can start us off.
Yeah, you know what? I'm coming in hot. I'm coming in high with a 9 on this. I really enjoyed it. It's been a long time since we brought something to the pod and I listened to further into the discography. I probably listened to 2 or 3 more albums by these guys. Yeah, I hope they play somewhere close to me someday soon.
Yeah, right.
Because would really enjoy kind of going and being in a sit-down environment, hopefully, for something like this. So yeah, 9 out of 10. I'm going high.
Yeah, Free Ireland, right? I think. Yeah, I don't know. Is that good or bad?
A free, what is it on Archer? A free and independent Nova Scotia?
Yeah, a free and independent Northern Ireland, I think. I don't know. I'm probably pissing somebody off. I don't know. I'll ask Amanda. She'll know. They have a long storied history, the Brits and the Irish.
Yeah, I don't think she'll give me the rundown. Cool, but yeah.
Anthony, what do you got?
So I also gave it a 9. This is not my favorite album of theirs. I think that my favorite one is All is Bright, All is Violent. I think that's the name of it. But yeah, solid album, solid listen, and yeah, keeps getting better in my opinion. But there are better ones out there. But 9 for me.
Word. I'm gonna give it a 5. Um,
Gosh.
A lot of room to
what? That's
grow
not.
on that one.
Yeah, a lot of room to
I'm just
grow.
surprised based on
It's
your feedback. I thought it was gonna be a little higher than that, but hey,
well, I mean, like,
You know.
come on. I mean, 6 through 8, like
It's
that's
the meat and
that's a
potatoes
chunk
of
of the
this album
album.
right here.
that's
Yeah.
fair. That's fair. That's
So,
fair.
wasn't abysmal and wasn't phenomenal. It was somewhere in between abysmal and phenomenal. Which I think if you talk to my parents, they, you know what? Never
Yeah.
mind.
Before,
I'm gonna
yeah,
say.
go ahead.
I'm gonna say 5 out of 10, but good pick, Anthony. Good to expand. Like, hey, you know what totally biased music is, baby. You got to expand the mindset, expand the listening apparatus.
On that, let me give you. I'm just gonna list out a few other bands, just for listeners out there, or Trey, Blake. Feel free to join in and give these guys a listen too. So, OG post rock, Mogwai, Caspian, Explosions in the Sky. And then you have this new, my opinion of new age post rock with more rhythms in it. Obviously, God is an Astronaut. This Will Destroy You is in a fucking sick band. I can't wait for us to bring them to the podcast, but they're going to be playing in Atlanta. I'm going to go see them in a couple months. That's This Will Destroy You. My other favorite band in this kind of vein is called Tides from Nebula. Fucking sick ass music. So dive into that.
I will say all these band names are really great.
I'm telling you,
like
the music is.
Like, say what you will about the music.
All right, well, let me give you one more
name.
band, Trey. One more band that I know Blake will like the name of this. It's called If These Trees Could Talk. That's the name of
I've
that.
actually heard of them before.
They're solid
Nice.
too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
Okay,
right.
so with that being said, let's get into Rides or Dies, and who should we start with?
a
Yeah,
song
Anthony,
with no
start
vocals.
us off.
So I brought you an electronic track. This one's long. I can't wait to hear what. Now I know Blake's gonna just shit so hard on this, but like this music, so the artist is called this duo, I believe, Carbon Based Life Forms. This is the opening track of this album. It's called Interloper. And oh my god, this track is just it is dreamy, it's wavy, it sucks me out of reality. But it also is the intro song for maybe one of the greatest electronic albums ever put together. I listened to it again the other night and was just gone in the best way possible. This is a track I can go to whenever I need a mood change. And again, it's simplistic in a way because it's not dynamic. In other words, it's very like 1 track, 2 track layers building ever so slightly, but it's not like there's not a ton of energy, or I should say not a ton of physical energy, but mentally it just can just bounce off your brain in the sweetest of ways. But Blake, I want you to start this one, and then hopefully Trey can ease us out. But what'd you think, Blake? Rides or Die?
Let me tell you something, Anthony. You picked the worst possible week to bring that song because that was the problem. Like after listening to this album and then going to that, I was like, Anthony's hit me with a 10th bonus track. He's hit me with another addition to this right now. Like it was a dies for me, but here's the thing: it was a half dies because I know. Had I listened to it after not, because let me tell you guys about how I consume the media for the podcast.
Because here's a big probable issue. I
do things fresh for the pod. So Rides or Dies, I save for last because I want it fresh on my mind, right? And I listened to this album yesterday and today, and then I listened to Anthony's Rides or Dies, and I was like, again with this man, he's hit me with another one, and it just. I couldn't get into it, Anthony. I'm sorry. I wanted to. And let me revisit it in a week. Next week, I'll give a follow-up Rides or Dies assessment of this song. But for now, it dies.
I would suggest perhaps approaching this music in a different way. So that way you can find that experience of whatever makes sense. Because there's a learning curve to a lot of the stuff that I'm going to be throwing at you from here on out. If the Wheel of Fate and Time decides so. But
we'll see.
But like I said,
we shall see.
I had a feeling that was going to happen, But either way, it went in your eardrums and maybe came right out. But it's in there somewhere now.
Yeah, it's in there. Trey.
I love the song.
Thank you.
I feel like carbon-based life forms played a tipper event that we were at maybe at one point.
No, I don't think
Maybe it
so.
was 4-3-2-1, maybe not.
I don't think so. I feel like they're like old heads, you know,
They're
like Boards of
they're
Canada
Swedish.
level shit.
Yeah, but I feel like there was maybe I could be wrong.
I would
I'll
hope.
ask Joe. I'll ask Joe Leibson, he'll know.
Yeah.
But either way, it's a rides for me. Very enjoyable.
Trey, can you stop dick riding, man?
No,
like, can you
sorry,
like
man. I like this music.
say
I like
one
the music.
negative thing? Like, I'm getting fucking railed over here, man.
Don't worry, it's coming.
Yeah, okay.
It's coming. You're just we're gonna get there. But yeah, I like the song. I'm gonna see if I can find that information. But yeah,
All right.
Continue.
Fair.
right.
So for my rise or dies, let me go
okay.
into mine. So I have listen, and I posted on my Instagram story. I don't care if people know. You know what? Go ahead and cancel me. All right, go ahead and cancel me. Everybody's been waiting to cancel me. They've been foaming at the mouth to cancel me. They want to cancel me. You guys can go ahead and cancel me. I like some of Morgan Wallen's songs. Okay. I enjoy some of his music, and I'm gonna put that out there. Okay, so I pick "I Deserve a Drink" from Morgan Wallen because you know what? Great song, beautiful song, and it's about a woman that he knows that he shouldn't be taking part with, but he can't help himself because she tastes like bourbon with no water, and he loves that burn, baby. He loves that burn, and we've all been there, you know. Woman we know we shouldn't be associating with, or man, depending on who you are, you know. We don't judge in this podcast, and I think
Morgan
that it's
Wallen
just
does.
a great. I think it's a great song, and I fucking and Reed. I posted on my Instagram story, and Reed told me that he's been trying to get Trey into Morgan Wallen, and Trey is not reciprocating. So he teamed up with me, group texted Trey with me, and said, "Trey, you got to listen to the new album," which a bunch of bangers on the new album. I won't make you guys listen to it. It's 37 tracks. It's 2 hours long, so I'm not going to make you listen to it.
Throw away the whole album.
But I think it is great, and I want to know what you got. And I hope that you guys approached it open-mindedly, you know? So, Trey, why don't you start us off? Tell us what you think.
So here's the deal. In the same way that you said to Anthony, like, this is the wrong time to pick this Morgan Wallen thing, just wrong time. Here's the deal about Morgan Wallen, man. I don't get how people with good taste like this very run-of-the-mill pop country guy. Like, I respect your taste in music, and I respect your taste in country music.
Yeah.
And I just, like, why? What is it about him? This voice is awful. It's
beautiful voice.
It's a try-hard country voice. Like, this guy doesn't talk like this. I don't know where he's from.
Yes, he does.
I guarantee you it's from north of the Mason-Dixon. Let's see. Where's Morgan Wallen from?
I'm going to fact check this because I don't trust
listen to the keys going right now. Everyone's just racing.
Let's see. Where's Morgan
Wallen from?
Okay, so he is
Tennessee.
He is from Sneedville, Tennessee, supposedly.
Right.
But where was he born, though?
Yeah.
Where was he born?
Oh, my God. Trey, give
born?
it up. You lost the argument, man.
He was born in Tennessee.
Yeah.
He was born in Sneedville, Tennessee. Which I've been to Sneedville, Tennessee. Either way, I just don't really like him. I don't get it. The controversy stuff is whatever. Like, you know, he threw a chair at a cop. I think that part's pretty cool.
Based. Hella based.
But other than that, yeah, I don't get it, and it's a dies for me, brother.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry.
Give me the God's country.
You know I'm more sorry too than you is. I'm sorry to Reed because like usually I align with Reed on the stuff that he sends me, but man, I just like I can't do it. I know he really wants me to, and I just can't. So
we'll
Reed,
get you there.
We'll
get you there.
Yeah,
but Anthony, 100%. Go ahead.
Well, I'll save you the mystery. This one dies for me too. But this is why, because it's not a good country song. Like I could throw fistfuls of country songs at you, Blake, and you might be like, "Oh shit, I didn't even know Anthony knew country songs." But it would be quality music. Like this one.
This is peak country music.
No,
this is peak. This is what country's about.
This is what country has become. You know, and it's not good and not. I mean, like my cousin just came back from a festival in Gulf Shores. I think Morgan Wallen was playing at, and
it was his festival.
Oh, okay, well that makes more sense.
He put it together.
That was the one artist she mentioned. She goes, "Yeah, Morgan Wallen was there." And
I
was like,
"Not my."
Yeah, he's huge. He's the big like his album that just came out. No, I'm not saying it does, but I'm saying that his album that just came out shattered Spotify streaming records. Like people are obsessed with this guy. He's like the only country artist that tours in like Australia and Europe. Like people are obsessed with him. Not saying that means anything. I'm just saying that people fucking love him. like to a strange degree almost. Because I like him. I don't love him like that, but
But
I
he's
like
no
him.
Kenny Chesney. I mean, he's no legitimate like country figure of
What?
the time. Like, I mean, I guess if
I don't
you're
know.
saying
Kenny
like,
yes, he
Chesney
is.
I don't know if Kenny Chesney was the right pick
for a
there.
time,
It
I
was
was going to say
not the
Garth
right
Brooks,
pick.
but I didn't
Maybe
want to say
Tim
Garth
McGraw
Brooks.
or Garth
But
Brooks.
I mean, they're all in the same. I mean,
Tim
one
McGraw,
or
but in
another.
the sense that like he is the. But this is the thing: is whether you like him or not, like he is this generation's
Okay,
country
let me
star.
ask- let me ask one
100%.
question.
I think that's true.
well, this
Yeah.
will kind of validate it. The answer to this. So, the reason I would say Kenny Chesney is because if Kenny Chesney did a concert today, a throwback concert, it would sell out, right? If this guy throws a throwback concert in 20 years, is it going to do the same, or are they going to be like, oh, fuck that
Yeah.
guy?
Absolutely, no, it
We will
absolutely
see.
will.
Time,
I guarantee
and time
it.
will
I guarantee it. Yeah, fate and time will tell.
Where
All
are we at?
right,
Trey.
and then now we're down to Trey. Yeah, Trey, what do you got?
Oh yeah.
He's
So
meditating.
I kind of went with the softball one this week, but I did it for a reason. Okay. First off, this is my sister's little like hair hat. I think it kind of is a vibe. So I picked System M by JID, and I did this because of the JID track that you brought last week, and Anthony was like, "I don't really like this," and I was like, when you and I both were like, "No, you'll like JID." So this was kind of an Anthony specific
Right.
pick.
Yeah, that's what I figured too.
And so Blake, if you just want to go give Zeta rides, and then we can pass it over.
Yeah, obvious
over to
rides. Go ahead,
Anthony.
pass it
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
Anthony.
So
Yeah, Ant, what do you think?
two JID tracks in a row, and it's hard because I listen to these rides or not. So no. So here's my thought on this track. The production got me from the beginning, right? I mean,
Mhm.
it is wavy. There's some sounds happening. Listen to this with headphones, and it's just bouncing off eardrums. And it's a constant flow. You know, I mean, I don't know what this album's about. I know y'all have done it before, and I know y'all keep telling me, listen to this album, listen to this album. So now that I got a piece of it, it is interesting. I'm going to give it a rides because it doesn't die. That's my thought on this. I don't like it. It's not groundbreaking for me. Like, it's not like, oh my gosh, I got to go listen to this album, but it's enough to pique my interest. The ending is interesting. What are y'all's thoughts on the ending? Like, Blake, are you, is it creative to do it this way? Do you like that he did like he's like asking for money back and the phone clicks off and then it's like the endings?
I think you need.
Is there more
You
context
listen
to
to the
that?
album.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right, that's
I
all
think you
gotta
need
say?
to listen to it. And I think what we'll do is we need to revisit the album, and I think it doesn't count as revisiting since you
Right.
didn't do the album on the pod, and I think eventually we should absolutely revisit it, or even if we just do a TBM revisited, not a full episode, take
We
20
could do it
minutes
in
and
the
just talk
summer
about it.
before the new one comes out.
Okay.
That could
Yeah,
be fun.
100%.
Yeah.
But I like, to me, my thing is I really want you to listen to the whole thing because JID is probably like outside of what has been the staple rappers of our generation, like JID is my favorite hip hop artist outside of all of those guys. And I think he is the most technically proficient, the most interesting voice. I think his flow is super unique. I think it says a lot that Eminem had anybody he could ever want on his album to feature, and he picked JID for one of his best songs. Like, I think that shows his capability. So I think we definitely need to listen to the full album at some point. So I would hold off on listening to that album.
Okay.
I would also say I think that JID is the most innovative and unique like thing that's happening in rap music right now. You know, like
Interesting.
Kendrick obviously does his thing, J. Cole does his thing, Drake does his thing. Like they all kind of have their lanes, and JID is kind of a very, very fresh, and he's like next up, in my opinion.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was Rise or Dies. So let's get into the Empire Strikes Back and something Dark Side. So I think the best way to do this, we could talk about them kind of in tandem with each other, right? Because there's moments in the movie that correlate to moments in the Family Guy special, something Dark Side. And before Trey sheds the reason why he picked it and his thoughts on the Star Wars movie, I will say, obviously, huge Family Guy fan, huge dedicated guy to Family Guy. I've watched it my entire life. Will always watch it and continue to watch it. Huge Seth MacFarlane fan. But the 200th episode special that they did for Family Guy, Seth talked about how they had done so many Star Wars references over the course of Family Guy that Fox Legal came to them and said, hey, listen, if you're going to continue to do this, you have to reach out to George Lucas and ask him if you can continue to do this. And they were like, all right, we're done. It's over. Like, we're not going to do this anymore. And then they reached out to George Lucas and he was like, do what you guys want with it, man. Like, have fun with it. And obviously Seth grew up in the 80s, huge Star Wars fan. And so then they ran with the original trilogy. Seth is a big, he hates the prequel trilogy. So didn't do any of those, but they did the first 4 Star Wars movies. And something Dark Side is hilarious. Chris is Luke, Peter is Han, Brian is Chewbacca, Stewie is Darth Vader. And I think that it's just, there's so many golden Family Guy moments, like Star Wars references, but I think the episodes themselves they did are absolutely fucking hilarious. And I don't know how you guys did the order, but I watched the Family Guy one first. So then when I went and watched the movie, it made some of those moments a lot funnier. But Trey, what about you? How did you feel about rewatching it, and what order did you do it in?
So I went the other way around because I was like, if I watch Family Guy first, I'm not going to be able to take Empire Strikes Back seriously. And Empire Strikes Back is a very serious movie. It's arguably the best Star Wars movie. It's definitely the best out of what's considered the Skywalker saga. So the original 3, the prequels, and the dog shit sequels. They get worse and worse as every day goes on. Dude, those movies are so bad. Anyway, so wanted to do one of the originals, and like, it's nice to watch an old movie, but this movie like was just so groundbreaking in so many different ways. My dad, every time Star Wars is ever brought up in any capacity, he's like, in the theater, when you find out that Darth Vader is Luke's father, it's like, it was just a mind-blowing moment. Like, no one knew. There's no internet, obviously. Like, there's no like chatter unless someone spoiled it for you directly. Maybe that happened, but those movies were only in theaters for 3, 4, 5 weeks, so it wasn't like that was happening all the time. Anyway, so just from that perspective, and then like the scene on Hoth is so cool. When they figure out how to like trip up the AT-AT. I mean, it's just like so many major moments. So that's why I picked that movie. But then something Dark Side is so damn, like, I don't know what the jokes per line like count is in Family Guy in general, but like this movie feels like it's higher. It's like every line, every single line is a lead-in or a punchline. Like every single line. The scene. The scene when Carter's talking about the albums that he put on his iPod.
Oh yeah,
it's just
hilarious.
It's hilarious. Yeah, it's so great. And also the casting is perfect, like for who they put in, like which characters. Yeah.
Oh, it's hilarious. And I will say, like, in terms of the Star Wars movie, like, the movie itself, I'm always shocked at how good, but also how bad some of the CGI looks at points. Like, sometimes I'm amazed at like how good it looks for the 80s. And then there's a scene where like the worm coming out of the hole, and it just looks so fucking bad. I'm like, it's so funny how there's like a perfect balance of how good that movie looked and how bad it did. At the time it was probably phenomenal, right? But like, there's moments like, I still think it's really funny that Star Wars refers to the bad guys as the dark side. Like, could you pick a more cliche way to describe like the bad guys? Like, that still makes me laugh. It's so on the nose of like, come to the dark side. It's like, it's basically like Darth Vader being like, come be a bad guy.
The bad guys are called the Sith, and there's a dark and a light side of the Force. So the dark side isn't necessarily the bad guys; it's the bad side of the Force. And come to find
but don't
out,
you think that's funny?
Dark with the light. No, it's not funny. You don't understand Star Wars, bro.
It is funny.
Anthony,
I want to say this because first off, question: is this the first movie that Yoda's featured in? Is he in A New Hope, or is he just in The Empire Strikes Back? Okay,
Yoda's
so the first
not
appearance of Yoda. So Yoda's my fucking favorite Star Wars character. But he says something along those lines. He says, "Luminous beings are we," as in reference to light. And that line really stuck out to me. But in the something dark side, Who is the character that's playing Yoda? I don't
So
know his name.
it's Carl.
Okay,
It's
gotcha.
Carl, which is the gas station attendant in
He's
Family
telling
Guy.
he's telling Luke, or he's telling Chris, like, to master the Force, you have to what DVDs are you watching, or what movies are you watching? How did you watch Van Wilder? Did you get the uncut version? If you did not, you got to get those sweet ass DVD cuts. And I'm like, I'm just geeking out. So like when I was when did that come out? 2010. So it must have been in college. In college, I downloaded, Blue Harvest, something Dark Side, and It's a Trap, because they're like the longest
Yeah.
Family Guy episodes besides Stewie and the Christmas specials and things like that. So I had fallen asleep to these movies endlessly. Like they were my sleep
Yeah.
films, So the
Yeah.
way I did this is I watched the Family Guy version first to fall asleep with Molly, and then watched Empire Strikes Back, and then rewatched it again just to kind of put the two and two together, make it full circle. But it's good. I would say Empire Strikes Back is my favorite of the three as well. Favorite Star Wars.
Oh, that trilogy for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I still think that Rogue One is the best Star Wars movie. Empire Strikes Back is close. And I think like the lightsaber battle is
Yeah.
great, and the whole ending lightsaber battle. But I do think like upon a rewatch, that whole trip to go see Yoda, like it kind of annoys me in the sense that like I do love in the Family Guy episode when he goes into that area in the forest and he's like, yeah, but when you go in there, it derails the whole movie, or like it's kind of kind of confusing and derails the whole movie because that's so. But like when you're watching the movie, it's like
every apprentice has to have a Jedi Master. That's the whole point of it.
And it was
but like, do you not feel like the whole trip to go see Yoda was kind of pointless in the sense that like he never masters his Jedi powers, and then Yoda's like, you're not ready, and he's like, fuck you, I'm leaving anyway, I gotta go save my friends. So it's like he never even reaches the conclusion. Like, I know he has to go back, but like when you're looking at it in that movie sense, it's like this is kind of like plot filler almost. That's what it feels like to me, to be honest. Just
disagree.
saying,
disagree. Hard disagree.
But I will say some of my favorite moments of the Family Guy version. I just have to say these. So the best moment to me is when Leia calls him a nerf herder, and he punches her in the face, and he says you can't say that word. Only we can say that word. And then when Luke gets in the ship and Dak is like, I feel like I can take on the whole Empire myself, and he's like, really? Because that would be great. Hey guys, Dak's got this. And then he goes up and he goes, hey Empire, get ready to suck some Dak. And then immediately dies. It's so fucking good. But I think that like they just do such a good job in those movies of being like comical and tying in the movies in such a good way. So
very well done.
Trey, is this your favorite Star Wars movie of all time?
Rogue One is my favorite, but I go back and forth on which one I think is the best.
Okay.
I know that doesn't make that much sense, but like,
no, it does. It does.
Yeah. But Rogue One, if you haven't seen Andor yet and you like Rogue One, Andor is legitimately probably the best Star Wars thing that's ever been made. Andor is sick. It's like
people are gassing it up as shit.
It's very tied into current events as far as certain countries that are at war with one another, and it's very, 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 very good. Highly recommend. I'm almost done with it, but there's like 2 episodes left that I haven't watched.
Anthony, question for you. I don't know if Trey's watched them, but how did you feel about the Family Guy episode ending with a Back to the Future reference? Did you love that?
No, I don't.
You don't like that?
I've never seen Back to the Future, admittedly.
You've never seen Back to the Future? No way,
there's
dude.
Beautiful, Trey. Thank you. Because it's so blown out of proportion. It, to me, just like Forrest Gump. Hot take. I've never seen Forrest Gump all the way through. Only because I hear it from every other person, or every reference or spoof in a show is going to illuminate it for me. So it's like, it admittedly ruined the experience for me, or I can't get around that. So I don't know if I really like that, but
no, let me tell you something. I like and I'm an avid movie hater. I will find a negative thing in a movie, and I will tell you right now, in terms of overblown movies to watch, Back to the Future lives up to the hype, and each movie gets better as they go on. Like the third Back to the Future is the best Back to the Future, 100%. So what we should do, we'll knock out the trilogy at some point. We'll do an aside, but the ending of Back to the Future 3 has my favorite quote of any movie of all time. I'm not going to spoil it. I'll wait until we get there, but you would love it for sure, 100%.
Before we hop off of this, what movie is it where this guy's like, I bet you it's Craig from The Office. Oh, it's This Is the End, where he's talking to Jay and he's like, I bet you hate things that are universally loved. And he's like what? He's like, I bet you think Forrest Gump is a bad movie. He goes, yeah, it's dog shit.
That's a great. This Is the End is funny as fuck.
Such a good movie. Such a good movie. All right, so now it's time to go to the Wheel of Fate in Time. So I have, hang on, let me share my screen.
While you're pulling this up, I just want to say, y'all, I really don't like Final Destination movies. I just want to throw that out there. So I really hope I don't get one.
I'll tell you,
I guess you'll see.
The most recent one,
I'll just pick
pretty fucking great. Pretty great.
I just really don't care for those, but let's go for it.
See what happens.
All right, so for me, it's instrumental album, non-electronic, electronic album, a hip-hop album from 2000 to 2010, or a female artist. Are we ready?
Spin the
Trey,
wheel.
hit us with
the
it.
Wheel of fate in time, wheel of fate in time, wheel of fate in time.
Oh, Blake, it came for you. What is it, Blake? Let the listeners know.
It really is an Anthony episode.
This is an Anthony episode because next episode we are going to be doing Electric Tears by Buckethead, ladies and gentlemen.
Shit. Props for that one.
And just so you know, I had a banger lined up for female artists, but I'm going to save it. I'm not going to tell you guys what it was, just in case it shows up.
I'm very surprised. That'll be fun.
All right. Trey has animated comedy, something Trey hasn't seen, and Final Destination. Are we ready? Trey, hit us with it.
Yeah. The Wheel of Fate in Time, Wheel of Fate in Time. And Final Destination.
There you go. You're good.
All right. For comedy, I have... All right, so here's the deal. This is going to require us to go into the movies.
Okay.
The movie is called Friendship.
Okay, beautiful.
It's a movie that's coming out this Friday. It is Tim Robinson's first full-length movie. He's the guy who does I Think You Should Leave.
Yep.
And I really like that show. I think it's really funny. And this is supposed to be it's getting some pretty great reviews. And, it's kind of rare that a comedy gets good reviews. So I was thinking we would check it out. And I know we don't care about this, but it does currently have a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is very high for a comedy.
Interesting.
Blake, are you okay with going to the movies?
I love going to the movies. I mean, I will say this type of comedy is not my type of comedy, but I'm going to go see it anyway and be open-minded about it.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about it.
I thought about this a little bit with you and not liking I Think You Should Leave, but I think in a full-length feature, I feel like you're going to like it a little bit more. Because, it's that's how Superbad is. Superbad is kind of absurdist ridiculousness the entire time.
Yeah,
too.
True.
So...
Well, and it's interesting to see how they do different types of... Because, Ted is really like a Family Guy movie. And Ted is... It's the same type of humor, but in a very different, medium. So, we'll see. I'm definitely...
Blake,
I'm down.
I hear that you don't like I Think You Should Leave? That's not your type of comedy?
I haven't watched it. There are some clips I find funny, and there are some clips from
I think you would like it. The whole thing is just bits, right. And it's literally the Family Guy chicken fight bit, but just taken to an extreme,
right?
Would you like that?
That's true. We'll see. I might try to watch. I think that that comedy is just. I don't know. It has to be done in a very particular way for me to enjoy it. Because cringe comedy is really tough for me sometimes.
It's not cringe comedy.
Because I actually cringe.
For the most part, it's not cringe comedy. There's some things that are, but some things are just, it's just so ridiculous. That's kind of more so what it is.
That scene, isn't there a scene in that show where his wife is talking about how she won't respect him and how she's going to raise her kids and they won't respect him either. And every time I see it on Instagram, I'm like, I can't watch this. This makes me uncomfortable.
but the reason that she does that is because he goes to a magic show and the magician tricks him.
And
that's the whole bit. Yeah. The whole bit is that the magician tricked him, and she's like, I will live here, but I will never love you.
I can't believe you did not stand up for
again.
yourself.
And then he goes back and he screams at the magician. He's like, you ruined my life. Dude, that sketch is hilarious.
Yeah. The reason why
I'll give it a shot.
Because I wanted to put Tom Segura's new show Bad Thoughts on your radar too, because
I heard it's similar, right?
Absurdity.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's similar.
They're different.
I did watch an episode.
Two different.
They're very different.
Yeah, but both equally great. I think.
Yeah. All right. Well, boys, great episode. Good to talk.
Yep.
Rest in peace, Molly. Forever, forever in our hearts. We love you. And everybody else, we will see you in a week or two or somewhere around there.
Buckethead Land.
See you guys then. Buckethead Land, baby. See y'all.